What's up YouTube? Badger01 here today, and today's video I'm going to be covering how to do MILSIM in GTA. And I've been asked this question a lot by Battlefield 4 MILSIM players along with non-MILSIM players. And I just wanted to clarify and show you how I do it personally. Now there are a lot of MILSIMs on GTA, especially if you look through Rockstar Social Club, but a lot of them do Milsim versus Milsim battles, those Milsim raids, I should say, and a lot of them are not too realistic. They're just kind of there with uniforms on and stuff like that. But as far as you Milsims out there looking for that realistic Milsim procedure, looking to carry out scenarios, that's what this video is going to cover. How you can do that and what your options available. So as far as this goes, this video will cover and show you how to make a scenario in GTA for your Milsim. So what I like to do is I like to use creator mode. I go to capture and I use raid. The reason I choose raid over everything else because raid has the most freedom and allows you to do the most. So um, first thing I do is I pick my start location. If it's going to be a forward operating base, I will spawn somewhere out in the desert or in the middle of an open plain, or if it's downtown, convert the entire downtown to a militarized zone using the props and all. Just figure out what you're gonna do. Go ahead and get your general stuff placed out. I save the title and description for last, and go ahead and get your start point set first. So here's the thing. The first question you may have is how you're going to do this if everyone's on a different team. Well, who's on a different team doesn't matter. Your start points also don't matter as long as you're all spawning in the same area. Because the game, when it comes to the Milsim in GTA, the game's not telling you who's on your team. You're telling your Milsim who's on your team. So that means if you have 5 guys that are doing a mission against NPCs, then no matter how the game spawns them in, if 3 of them are on orange team and 2 of them are on blue team, all 5 of them are still on the same team together in your Milsim. So you just don't shoot at each other. And how you avoid that is just you simply turn off auto aim. Now, if you want to keep on auto aim, you can still avoid shooting each other. Just don't be too quick on the trigger. It'll work either way, but I highly recommend you just turn off auto aim. Now, once you have your start point set, next thing to talk about is capture points. These also don't matter. You will not use them, not unless you want to make it a part of the mission, but normally I don't do that. So again, these don't matter. I just place these here to get them out the way. Once the actual mission is done, usually my milsim, we would stop recording or we would just say, mission over, we're done, that's all. And then I would pick a team, or I would say, hey guys, race back to base. Whoever gets the case first gets all the cash. Because as you know, once you spend around 20 minutes on a Rockstar mission, you get 20 grand. So whoever gets to the case first wins once the actual mission is over itself. That when we're through with our scenario. So next thing, it's just that general setup. You just decide what you want your objective to be. Hopefully you decided that before you came in capture mode, but if you didn't, it's fine. Either way works. Just decide what type of mission or scenario you're trying to perform. Is it a hostage situation? Is it a HVT capture slash elimination? Is it a patrol? Is it sabotage mission? Whatever you're going to do, you just have to decide that. So once you decide that, go pick your area out wherever you want it to be. Just start building it up using these props. If you want to build a mini fortress, mini fire base that you want to attack with your Milsim, go ahead and set up the frame of it, and then use the other props such as the little sheds, fuel containers, barrels, all the props you have. Just use that to set up your the general outpost you're trying to make. I know they have these sand. That's the wrong button. Here they are. They're coming. There they are. So yeah, you can use these and set up a little outpost or set up a little forward operating base for you to attack with your Milsim. You can also use the other walls, whatever you feel like using, whatever you want to use. This is what I would use personally for my Milsim whenever we were setting up the enemy NPCs bases for us to assault. If we didn't build one of those, we would just use some mini areas, such as this area right here, for example. We would just turn this to a mini compound, and we would set up some type of random objective there and assault it. Sometimes we would run a campaign, and we have to do a patrol through this little area of the town right here, then on to the next section of the town, which is down there in the distance. No, sorry, back here in the distance. So we would come through this town first and go through that town second, do a patrol. And then I would place NPCs in between randomly. So there may be an NPC here, here, and then when we come along, they may shoot an RPG at us or something, whatever it's the scenario, whatever you want to happen in the scenario. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say it's scripted. You're placing the NPCs where you want them. Now, you can choose to script this if you want to, and you can try it, but a script isn't really going to work. And the reason is because you can control the placement of these NPCs, and you can control whether or not they move or don't move when you shoot at them. But overall, you can't control major actions that they do. So it's possible to script, but I don't recommend you try and script. The biggest thing I want to talk about is how to place your NPCs, and that just has to do with this combat style right here. Your combat style and patrol range. So if you want to shoot at your NPCs and they start pushing towards you, keep them on aggressive. If you want to shoot at your NPCs and then they stay isolated in the same area, then set them to defensive. I highly recommend you keep most of your NPCs on defensive, at least the ones around your main objective. So if you know for a fact that your Milsim is going to be assaulting a compound, then any NPC you set up in that compound, I would set them to defensive. Explain why now. What's going to happen is, say you have these NPCs in this zone set to aggressive. Say I place NPCs there, put 3 there, and I have them set to aggressive. And let's say I have a patrol down here set to aggressive. Now, what's gonna happen if my Milsim unit shoots these guys right here? Everyone in the compound is going to hear it, and they're going to leave the compound and run down here to shoot us, and that's because they're set to aggressive. If you set them to defensive, however, and then you set them to stationary as well, they will not move. Now, if you set them to defensive and then you give them a little patrol range, their idle action will automatically be to patrol in that little red circle. And then if you start shooting, they will stay in that general area. But if you have the NPCs around your main objective set to aggressive, it's going to turn everything to crap, because pretty much what's going to happen, especially say if you're down here, if you get in a shootout down here with 2 NPCs and the NPCs way up there hear gunshots, every single NPC between this point and the compound that you have placed will rush to this area, and you're going to end up in a big shootout here for a good minute. But the thing is, once it's over, if your unit lives through it, there will be no more NPCs, and you're just going to be walking uphill to the objective. So if that's how you want it to play out, then you can play it out like that. But personally, I found it more realistic to balance it out. So I would set my main objective NPCs as defensive, If I was setting up guard posts, then in between the main objective and the insertion point, I would set them to defensive as well. Now, as far as patrols, I would set patrols to aggressive most of the time. Sometimes I would set patrols to defensive, but most of the time I would set them to aggressive because they're patrols. So if we encountered them, they would automatically start aggressing to us, but everyone else would stay still. So you have stationary, you have defensive, you have aggressive. Just make sure you're using them correctly, um, based on what you want to see in your scenario. You have your weapons here. You can balance it out, create a small enemy fire team or a small enemy squad. Again, it's just all based on what you want to do. Last thing that you want to do is make sure you have it set to hostile for both team one and team two. That way, everyone gets targeted. Now, the last thing I would say, I mean, you can also do the same thing with vehicles, by the way, because you can place your NPCs in vehicles, and then the patrol range will actually stay. I'm just going to spawn something random in. Let's do not a helicopter. We'll just do this for now. So let's say spawn that truck in um, patrol range, and then spawn driver and passenger inside that truck. And there you go. You have a patrolling vehicle, and you can use that on the technical, the barrage, any vehicle you want to see patrolling out there for your little scenario. So you have props. You can build up mini outposts. You have a lot of small structures. You have a lot of towns, built up areas, or out here in the desert. You have the downtown area itself. You have plenty of space to set up scenarios, and you have plenty of props to do so. You have the actors. You know how to place them now. As far as team spawn points, I explained that. So yeah, everything else is just all based on what you want to see. It's just all about creativity. And then aside from that, it's just about general procedure, all the planning, like planning out where you want your DZ to be, your insertion point, and where you want your pickup zone to be, or your exfiltration point, what your vehicles you're going to use, whether it's going to be a boat, if you have a boat crew, you have a helo team, etc. That's just everything you're looking for. But aside from all that, I mean, that's all it really is. Get your title, description, if you want, force camera view, all that's there. But other than that, that's everything. Um, I was kind of quick about explaining things, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to use the comment section below to ask me anything or say anything you want. This is for those milsims that are more dedicated to scenarios and are more on the realistic side. But other than that, that's all I have for this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.